Like most car buyers, you want to get the most for your money. That's why more Mazda buyers choose Ramsey Mazda. Get impressive offers on a new Mazda CX-30 or Mazda CX-5 starting at just $29,276. Over 1,000 new Mazda vehicles to choose from. Visit RamseyMazda.com. Get the most for your money at Ramsey Mazda. Choose wisely. Choose Ramsey Mazda.
You don't just live in your home. You live in your neighborhood as well. So when you're shopping for a home, you want to know as much about the area around it as possible. Luckily, Homes.com has got you covered. Each listing features a comprehensive neighborhood guide from local experts. Everything you'd ever want to know about a neighborhood, including the number of homes for sale, transportation, local amenities, cultural attractions, unique qualities, and even things like median lot size and a noise score. Homes.com. We've done your homework.
And he puts his hand on my shoulder. He's like, the name's St. Christopher, by the way. And then all of a sudden, I was like, what am I doing? Where am I? What's going on? I'm acting alongside Samuel L. Jackson.
Welcome to Story and Craft. Now, here's your host, Mark Preston.
All right, here we go. Another episode of Story and Craft. Glad to have you back. If this is your very first episode, welcome. Glad to have you. Today, sitting down with actor Brandon Lessard. The new film he's in is called The Unholy Trinity. It's with Pierce Brosnan, Samuel L. Jackson, David Arquette, Tim Daly, Christina Bowden. Big project for Brandon. This is a big one. So it's kind of cool to sit down and discuss what the experience was like filming this Western in Montana. Hey, do me a favor if you would. Make sure to follow Story and Craft on your podcast app. That way you get notified every time we have a new episode. Also, leave some stars, a review if you will. That way people can more easily discover the mischief I've got going on here, and I do appreciate that. And of course, everything you want to know about the show, just go to storyandcraftpod.com. Everything's there, past guests, past episodes. You get to learn everything about the show you could possibly want to know, and then some. All right, so let's jump right into it. Today is Brandon Lessard Day, right here on Story and Craft. Where are you joining us from today?
From my apartment in Los Angeles.
Did you make your way out there for work, or are you originally California?
Nah, not originally from here. I'm originally from Virginia. So I grew up in Fairfax, Virginia, Fairfax County. Okay. And I moved out here, God, the timeline's getting weird now. 8 years ago for school. I came out to study theater at USC and graduated, I think, 2021, and been out here ever since.
What's Fairfax, Virginia known for? I mean, I've drawn a blank. One of the universities
I couldn't even tell you. It's, a lot of people, it's just outside Washington, D.C. So, D.C. can't really build up and they can't build out. So a lot of people that go to work for the government live in either, Virginia side of the river or on the Maryland side. So a lot of politics primarily.
Being a Texas boy, I'm used to big, wide open spaces, lots of driving to get to the next big city. In that part of the country, you could drive for 3 hours and be in a few different states, it seems like,
yeah.
I never got my head around that fully, how compressed everything is up there. So did your folks work in government by any chance, or were they kind of far away from that?
No. My dad has been an architect for all of his life. And then my mom, she was originally in fashion. So she was an event coordinator and scheduled everybody's meetings and stuff before she kind of stopped that to raise me and my brothers. So no government on this side. I like to stay out of that.
So how many brothers do you have?
I have 2 brothers and an older sister.
Okay. Yeah. So it's so you weren't overrunning the household for your mother with a bunch of testosterone. There was a girl in there to balance things out, I guess.
Yeah.
I got 2 girls and I have a son, and with the acquisition of our little guy, golden retriever, the boys outnumber the girls here now. So it's we're winning, but the ladies are intellectually superior. But what are you
always.
The acting training, did it begin for you in Virginia, or were you just kind of like a theater kid, and you ended up just
I was a theater kid. It wasn't. I realized very early on that I wanted to be an actor. It was one of those things where, in middle school, they started putting up productions of stuff. And, a friend of mine, they were putting on a show of Midsummer Night. Mm-hmm. And a friend of mine was like, oh, let's go and do this together. Like, come on, audition with me. I don't want to do it alone. And I was like, okay. And he actually ended up not auditioning. And so I got the part of Theseus, as a sixth grader. And I kind of fell in love with it. And I realized that I wanted to do it professionally. Wasn't quite sure how that happened. I mean, I knew about Broadway. I knew about Hollywood. So I had these ideas in my mind growing up. And then kind of changed late high school. I think junior, senior year. I was talking with my dad, and a friend of his who lived out in Montana was getting involved in film. And a friend of mine named Carter Bain. And my dad was like, oh, I think Carter's doing something. You should see if you can audition. And I was like,
so the folks were encouraging of the
my family has always been very supportive of, the lifestyle to be an actor, which is a very risky lifestyle, to be sure. But there was never any pressure with the family to go into architecture or to go into fashion or to do anything other than what I wanted to do.
Well, did your brothers or your sister decide to do anything remotely related to this, or do they go somewhere else?
My sister is in real estate, although she's dabbled in the film side as well. And then my older brother, he is in real estate and kind of financial consulting, like business consulting. And then my younger brother, he also kind of jumped into the film industry, but really? He's primarily focused on music now. So we've all kind of jumped all over the place a little bit, but no, my parents have always been very supportive, which is...
Well, did anybody come to L.A.? So are you the only kid in the family in L.A., or did some of them kind of make their way on? Okay.
Yeah, my little brother was here for a couple months while he was pursuing some of his music-related things. But he is primarily focused on EDM stuff, which he can kind of move around a little bit with that.
So does he DJ at all, or does he?
Little bit, yeah. But yeah, no, I moved out here. Yeah, my sister is still back in Virginia. My older brother's in New York, and then my little brother, he lives kind of a nomadic lifestyle. So he's somewhere.
This is the EDM kid.
Yeah, I've
spoken to a few people who do EDM stuff. That always to me seemed like a fun lifestyle. Being able to go like to Ibiza.
Yeah.
So do you and your brother share that kind of same love for EDM, or your musical taste, given the Westernish stuff you've kind of gravitated to? Did you have any country leanings? Or what were you at musically?
No, I mean, I not to give the generic answer, but I do kind of like everything. I have a taste for everything. I definitely, growing up, me and my brothers definitely shared that sort of EDM love. Mm-hmm. And I definitely still like that style. Like my favorite band is definitely not country. Like I love Glass Animals. I think they're absolutely fantastic. But I will say, having done a lot of work in Montana and having done a lot of Western stuff, I do have a deep love for country.
Anybody EDM stand out that you really like?
There's a variety. I mean, I like Krewala. I like Adventure Club, Kygo, Calvin Harris, Avicii. I mean, those are kind of Sebastian Ingrosso. I was very fortunate to see him years ago, and that was a fun time. But also, I'm not. I will say I like staying out less and less than I used to.
Yeah. I enjoy the music lifestyle. It's funny. My daughter was she bartended on at a beach bar here, a real big place. It's nice. It's a nice venue. And there, Steve Aoki played, and I was like telling her, I was like, God, I really want to come to see. Man, I really want to see Steve Aoki. She's like, do not come. She always is like, because it's the most uncool thing in the world when your dad shows up to an EDM show at a bar where at a place where you're bartending. I was like, but I want to see Steve Aoki's just an animal. This guy's got he's just got his hands in so many different things and touring and all that. So do you have any musical inclinations yourself? I mean, do you play or do you?
I am nails on chalkboard. So not exactly. My gifts are more within the realm of saying things, interestingly enough, not necessarily singing them.
As far as the saying things thing, when you got more active into the acting thing, what was there any kind of genre of movie or a kind of role, a kind of character, anything you're like, oh, I want to do this thing. This is my jam. I mean, what was not a North Star, but what was kind of keeping you hungry as you were really getting rolling? For
me, I've always gravitated towards the dramatic stuff. Love comedy, and I love, performing comedy, but drama has always been kind of that connection for me. I don't even know what the term would be for it. I'll start with what I can articulate, and then I'll move on to what I can. I love historical dramas, first off, particularly if anything is based off of a true story. I love that stuff. Now, my favorite movies of all time, at the top, it has to be Saving Private Ryan. And I just think that film, there's nothing quite like it. And the performances in that are just incredible.
The ensemble in that was pretty outrageous. I mean, fantastic. You think of like all the people who were in it, and nobody was a quote unquote star in that. I think Tom Hanks was kind of the only omnipresent dude throughout the.
Yeah.
Those kind of things are interesting when you just get a big ensemble of very talented folks and just kind of see where they roll with it.
Yeah. And they're those types of actors that just melt into the role. Like, it's not necessarily that you forget who they are. I mean, you clearly can't forget who Tom Hanks is or that Matt Damon's in the movie. I mean, you have all of these all-stars in it, but you almost forget that for a moment and just focus on this brilliant, grounded performance they're giving. Like, I don't know if most people remember this, but Bryan Cranston's in that movie. He plays this, I say small part. It's not, no part is small. But he just delivers this really beautiful, grounded performance that just is seamless. It never breaks you away from the story. You're like, oh, there's another celebrity I know. You're like, I am in this, and I am genuinely... Wait,
was he one of the senior officers in that movie? I'm trying to remember what role he played. Yeah. It's always fun to go back and watch movies like that. Now I got the big 75-inch TV. I'm kind of going through the library of things I haven't seen for a while. It's like, I haven't seen this on a big TV yet, Yeah. And Saving Private Ryan's one of them. And I don't know if my son's ever seen that. He's 20. Yeah, he's 20. I'm sorry, I have 3 kids. I have a hard time remembering how old they are. So you got 3 of them. It's a lot to remember. But yeah, that's one of the things when he comes into town. There's a few movies I want to catch, and that's one I don't think he's seen. I think it would be great to check it out. But I mean, the Unholy Trinity. That's a very... What's the word I'm looking for? There's depth to the cast. We'll call it, call it that. You got James Bond and you got Samuel L. Jackson kind of together. It's like, these aren't small potatoes for you. This is a pretty big, meaty gig you got going on here. So, plus you got a chance to act with David Arquette, I've had a chance to talk to him on this show. He's such a sweetheart of a guy.
Oh yeah.
Did he do any of the Bob Ross painting stuff while he was on set with you? Or
no, I wish I had seen that. I didn't know about that. But
yeah, he does. He's a certified Bob Ross painting instructor. And he owns the rights, I think, to Bozo the Clown. So he's one of those guys, like, you don't know how his brain works, but it's just all goodness.
Yes,
he's very cool.
He's a sweet fella. I like him a lot.
What was that like to kind of step onto a set? You've got, we'll say you have a lot of depth to the bullpen. We'll put it like that. And
yes.
What was that like for you?
Well, it didn't really hit me until I think the second or third day. I remember showing up for our first day, and the first scene that was shot in the entire film is the first scene in the movie. It's the hanging scene. So my character shows up to this prison where his father's been held there for most of his life, and he's been wrongfully imprisoned. And he's about to die. And what my character doesn't realize is that Sam Jackson's character is in the crowd and that he knows my father. And I remember we were shooting this, and that day, Sam and our characters weren't supposed to be speaking. Because again, my character doesn't even know he's there. So we have maybe, God, I can't even remember, like 100 crew, maybe 50 to 100 extras. And someone calls over the walkie-talkie that Sam Jackson's about to step on the set. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just, I'm going to focus on the crowd because I'm going to speak with him. I'm going to, meet him, and we're going to be having these scenes together. So I just watched the crowd. And the minute he stepped on, every set of eyes locked onto him. And it was definitely interesting watching. And, that isn't, you figure most sets, they're pretty almost celebrity agnostic, because, everybody's got the job to do. Nobody's overly, PAs, nobody's overly impressed with you. No. and like Anthony Bourdain once said, we said, talent stepping on set, like, I forgot how he put it. He once said, he's like, that's another way of saying, here comes the asshole. No, but that's because it is like, people work on the sets. But, Samuel L. Jackson's iconic. He's not just an actor. He's got his own, he's carrying with it a pretty big persona. Did you feel that yourself? So again, that first day when I met him, I wouldn't say so. I was, told I was going to be working with him. I was obviously very excited. And then the second day came, and we started filming together. And again, it's like the next sequence in terms of when his character shows up. And, we're doing the scene, and I'm not even thinking about it. And then all of a sudden, I'm just focused on the scene. And then we get to the end of the scene, and he puts his hand on my shoulder, and his line, he's introducing himself. He's like, the name's St. Christopher, by the way. And then all of a sudden, I was like, what am I doing? Where am I? What's going on? I'm acting alongside Samuel L. Jackson, and like, him, Pierce, David Arquette, like these are people that I grew up watching, and all of a sudden it just kind of clicked for me that I was here doing this.
What a great feeling that's got to be, though, right? I mean,
it was fantastic.
You don't put it this way. I'm not just trying to talk about them, of course. You don't get there unless you got the chops, unless you have something really special to offer. But at the same time, it's sort of like weird walking on a set when everybody's probably thinking the same thing you are. It's like your father's the one who's in prison, but Pierce Brosnan's playing a sheriff, right? That's his. Okay. Yeah. I got to ask you though, what's it like acting with James Bond?
It's a bit surreal. But what I will say is, with the James Bond, and he was always my James Bond growing up. Yeah. I love GoldenEye.
For me, I grew up in the Roger Moore era, much love for him. But I think Daniel Craig I really like Daniel Craig's version. But amongst this constellation of people you're with in the film, kind of where did you settle in? What's the general premise, without giving anything away, for kind of how would you explain the general premise? Your father's in prison. Is it just was he wrongly? He was wrongly imprisoned. That's kind of the gist of it, right?
He was wrongly imprisoned. I mean, the gist, the story is we open with the hanging of this man who was wrongfully imprisoned, and his son shows up to the hanging, and his father essentially gives him this impossible task. He tells him, I've been wronged. I'm going to die here today because of this man who's never going to see justice. It's up to you to go to this town, to go to where you were born, and get justice for me. And so he puts him on this path of revenge. And along the way, he meets this sort of mysterious figure of St. Christopher, Sam Jackson's character, who seems to know more about his past than he does. And so Henry Broadway, my character, he kind of has to choose for himself whether he's going to follow this path that's been set for him, or if he's going to pursue his own path. And he's caught, this young man is caught between these two powerful figures. It is the Unholy Trinity. You have this sheriff, you have this lost boy, essentially, and you have this mysterious figure. It was dynamite.
Where did y'all shoot this? Was it in Montana?
Yeah, we shot it at the Yellowstone Film Ranch. And
so this is, it's got to be. I always find it if I was to be acting, on a regular basis, I'm like, I want to go to cool places. I don't want to go to. I just don't want to go to a studio. I want to be out there. I want to be roughing it. Sort of, I still want the trailer there,
Yes.
But how long were you in Montana for, and what time of year? Because I think that probably colors the overall experience.
Oh, absolutely.
There in the winter.
Yeah, I was there for about 6 weeks. And yeah, I was on location in Montana. We shot like October, November. So it was certainly cold. We had, I think week 3 or something, we had this big snowstorm, and it just covered everything. I remember I was driving from set back to my hotel, and it was just whiteout. I could barely see anything. So I was going, 5 miles an hour along the highway.
Questioning life choices at that point in time.
Yeah. No, it's I've had it worse in the run of my relative worse. I've shot a bunch in Montana, and I'd shot some stuff December, January, a film years ago, Robert the Bruce, and that was even further into the winter, and that was certainly tough. I will say the snow was tough, but the temperature was not as bad as it was a couple of other times I've been out there.
You're talking to a guy I'm about 100 steps to the beach, so my view on climatology or meteorology or whatever you want to call it, definitely lean towards the warm. I'm now a little nervous. Apparently, I just found out that the guy that Trump hired to be the FEMA director didn't know there was such a thing as hurricane season. I'm like, ooh, this hurricane season's going to get spicy. I digress. But so, did you have any kind of? I'm not saying you're isolated. I mean, it's you got a big crew. You got a lot of people around, but you are not in a big city. Was there any kind of social stuff where y'all are able to kind of hang out, do anything? You're not like on the face of the moon far away, but you're not in LA.
I mean,
so I'm assuming there's a little more social stuff going on.
I mean, it's certainly not New York City, but it's still there's still a pretty active social scene within films. I mean, after a long day, people tend to want to rest and recuperate for the next one. I mean, we did end up shooting, fairly long days, and physically, at least for me, physically strenuous.
Well, I was going to ask you that. It seems like there's enough action where I'm assuming there's enough action where physically you're really putting yourself out there. Is that accurate? Or?
Oh yeah. I mean, I was joking with Richie, the director. I was like, you're trying to kill me on this one. I have a couple things in the film. I mean, my character, I climb off a balcony at one point. I'm bathing in the Yellowstone River at another point.
Really?
I'm getting beat up. I'm getting hung upside down. I'm riding horses.
Did they give you free onset therapy also? I mean, God, that's like put me in a river in the wintertime. Hell no.
No. I would call my fiance afterwards. That was my therapy.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Whether you love true crime or comedy, celebrity interviews or news, you call the shots on what's in your podcast queue. And guess what? Now you can call them on your auto insurance too with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive. It works just the way it sounds. You tell Progressive how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Get your quote today at Progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
What kind of programs does this school have? How are the test scores? How many kids do a classroom? Homes.com knows these are all things you ask when you're home shopping as a parent. That's why each listing on Homes.com includes extensive reports on local schools, including photos, parent reviews, test scores, student-teacher ratio, school rankings, and more. The information is from multiple trusted sources and curated by Homes.com's dedicated in-house research team. It's all so you can make the right decision for your family. Homes.com. We've done your homework.
Hey, it's Mark Preston, and I would like to tell you a little bit about one of our sponsors, X-Chair. Whether you're working from home or in the office, if you have a job or a task that has you sitting for a long period of time, this is the chair for you. Very comfortable, very customizable. They'll make it pretty much any way you want it. The look, the feel, the fabrics, everything. Plus, this is the kind of chair you can adjust to make it fit you just right. No matter your body type, it's spot on. I love my X-Chair. It has the Elemax cooling, heating, and massage technology. It is going to make your lower back feel so very good. Got to throw a little bit of love to X-Chair. It's the chair I'm sitting in every time I talk to a guest. So I've had a lot of time to have my tush in this chair, and the tush, the back, everybody's happy. Just go to storyandcraftpod.com/chair. Once again, X-Chair, check it out, storyandcraftpod.com/chair. Love my X-Chair. Your back will thank you. It sounds like on the fun meter, this had to have been kind of just an overall just great experience to make this, I'm assuming.
It was the best. I mean, look, I've got more stories than I know what to do with. It was, I mean, you know, obviously I joke, like it does get physically strenuous and you get tired at the end of the day, but it's a fulfilling work. I mean, I am beyond lucky. I am beyond fortunate. I get to go out and I get to live every 10-year-old boy's dream. I get to play cowboy, and like I get to do it with some incredibly talented people. I get to do it in one of the most beautiful places known to man with some of the kindest people I've ever met. And also with an incredibly talented crew. I mean, obviously the cast speaks for itself. I mean, you look at the billing and you know these are talented people, but I cannot stress enough how incredibly talented and hardworking the crew was. They really helped pull together the film, and I can say with no uncertainty, it would be impossible without them.
I think they were the unsung heroes because we really realize the unsexy elbow grease, all the stuff. It's just the actors got it easy. You show up, everything's ready to go for you, and that's the reason why, there's a lot of waiting. But I always kind of looked at it like, again, I have a razor thin resume by comparison, but it's like if you're waiting, I'm probably waiting because they're getting something done that needs to get done that I probably wouldn't want to do.
Oh, absolutely.
So I always like, is that where they shoot Yellowstone up there? Or? I love Taylor Sheridan's work. I mean, all of his stuff. I just never got into Yellowstone. That's the only one of his. Everything else he does, I love. But I don't know where they shoot the show. I
don't know about most of the show. I believe some of the show was filmed up there because actually on a separate project, I was up around the same area. And I was driving with a friend of mine, and we passed the video village for Yellowstone, and but again, I don't know if that was their primary location or if that was, some place that they were visiting for a brief amount of time.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I always wanted one of those jobs where you could travel and go see cool things and eat different stuff and be, it's almost like a little micro summer camp, kind of,
Oh yeah.
Unless you're in LA, that probably didn't feel too much like summer camp, I don't think. Like what were you watching as a kid growing up? Was there anything grabbing your attention? You're like, oh, I want to do this thing when, if acting, doing the movie thing works out, I want to do this, or just stuff you loved, when you were young.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that I love. Like, again, the stuff I gravitate towards or dramas. I love, like, just to give you an idea of, I guess, my taste, Saving Private Ryan. The Green Mile was a favorite of mine growing up. I'm
seeing a Tom Hanks thing developing.
I do love some Tom Hanks, but I mean, Michael Clark Duncan was just beyond incredible in that role, and I love that stuff that it's grounded in reality, but there is this sort of supernatural force going on. It's like grounded supernatural. I don't know if it's within that realm, but
I see what you mean. So it feels like it's reality, like real human expression, real human experiences, but within kind of like this little jewel box, or it's a little like,
yes,
contained moment, which is a little ethereal. I
love, I love fantasy. I love sci-fi. Neither of those things, but my favorite TV shows for certain are Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. That sort of stuff. The writing is just impeccable. Vince Gilligan, Shakespeare of our time.
I think Vince Gilligan is done something special. Same thing. I've got a professional crush, if you will, not a crush, but a professional crush on Taylor Sheridan. Just the fact that he can crank out so much, a wide diversity. I was speaking with Jim Lampley, the sports commentator, and he was telling me he has a weekly conversation with Taylor Sheridan. I'm like, really? What that must be like? I say that great filmmakers are now these days, even on TV, they're poets. Kind of, I think the great ones, 100%. And Vince Gilligan, like, he needs to do some more stuff, man. He's, you almost want to go to the front door and knock. Go, all right, dude, it's time to come out with something else. Come on.
Oh yeah. I mean, I hear. I mean, this is. I don't know if it's a rumor or something. I heard he's working. I heard he's working on another show with Rhea Seehorn, I believe. I'm forgetting her name right now. Rhea Seehorn, who is just incredibly talented. I believe they're working on a show right now, but I'm just kind of waiting for that to come out.
Well, you said you like sci-fi. Were you a Star Wars kid or
big Star Wars fan?
Okay, I've been asked this question. I should more. I'm a Star Wars kid. What was your favorite prequel outside of the original?
Revenge of the Sith. Oh, okay. Yeah. That was. I remember going to see that in movie theaters as a kid, and I was just transfixed. I thought it was the coolest thing.
Wait, which one was that in the
third one? So
I'm a Rogue One guy. I got to say, to me, that's the best. There are a lot of people think Empire Strikes Back. Oh, we really went in a different direction with this. But Empire Strikes Back was like the one because it was the writing. It was more mature, if you will.
I mean, it's an incredible film.
But I look at like the Rogue One. I just saw it the other day. I was like, it's like one of those things that comes on TV. I just watch. But I never had a chance to just ask the randomness. Is like, oh yeah, which Star Wars is your favorite Star Wars? And I ask a lot of random questions, and I never land on that. I was just talking to somebody about that the other day. We're like, yeah, that was easily the best one because it would kind of answered a lot of questions. Could go on and on about that. But going back to the Western thing, that genre, if you will, and I haven't seen it, Murder at Yellowstone City. That's a Western, isn't it? Or does it take place in like, in other words, it's a genre piece? That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no. It is Murder at Yellowstone City is definitely a Western. That was actually shot at the same ranch Now they changed some things up, so you shouldn't recognize it when if you watched Murder Yellowstone and then you watch Trinity. But yeah, no, that's another Western. My part is significantly different in that one versus Trinity. I grew out my beard for that, so I have big bushy beard in that. Actually, interestingly enough, remember that was that was 2021. I remember I got the call from Richie for that project, and I was about to graduate college. And
okay.
Yeah, and I remember the part was again much smaller than the one I have in Trinity, but I remember he was calling at the time and he was like, "Oh, we want you to come up and do this project." I was like, "Okay, sounds fantastic. When would we be shooting?" And it was smack dab in the middle of the graduation. And
choices. Yeah,
I had to make a choice, and for a while I was like, what do I want to do? I don't want to miss my graduation. I only graduate once. And then I was kind of sitting down and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, wait a minute, what am I doing? I'm graduating from school as an actor to be an actor. And here is an opportunity to be an actor. Why am I even thinking about this? So I actually went up and I celebrated my graduation in Montana while filming Murder Yellowstone.
I would have been kind of the same way. I mean, it would have been like an internal discussion for a moment. Then it'd be like, what am I doing? I got to go out there and do that thing.
No, of course.
But as far as what you're, aspirationally, what are you looking at? Are you like, okay, these are genres. This is the kind of project maybe I want to do. Get on a show a la Breaking Bad or something. Is there anything on the radar that you're like, I want to do that thing?
I mean, there's a couple prospective projects that I'm talking with producers about now. I don't know how much I can talk about technically. Now, in terms of projects, I'm just interested. I'm going to say something that's not an original quote, but I do believe applies to me. The project I'm looking forward to the most is the next project. I don't necessarily have an interest in replicating films or TV shows that have already been done. I want to just find a project that interests me and make it happen. But there is a couple stuff right now I am certainly interested in. I also recently wrote a Lovecraftian horror film that I'm hoping to get going soon. But we'll see on that one. That one's still very much a work in progress.
So writing is also on your radar. So that's cool. I mean, Is there a certain genre that appeals to you? Something like you got like sci-fi, but you've landed in a few Western type things. Is there anything that grabs your attention?
It's interesting. I wouldn't say that when it comes to writing, I wouldn't say a particular genre grabs me in the same way that acting does. I would say more so I get hooked on a particular idea. Like, for instance, again, I've done a lot of Westerns at this point, and that's kind of been my genre. But in terms of writing, I kind of landed on this Lovecraftian horror stuff, which is not traditionally within my wheelhouse, but it was something that was just scratching at my brain for months on end. And I didn't feel like I could move on to anything else until I just slammed out a draft. And now that it's out, I'll certainly say that my brain has calmed down a lot. But I just get hooked on ideas and just premises, and that's more so where the writing comes from.
Now, you said you have a fiance. Now, how is she digging the whole you're gone for a few months here or there, or did she go with you, or how did that work out?
Well, she's been very supportive. I will say that she hasn't come with me on any projects yet. I would love her to, and I know we want to. There is she works as an elementary school teacher, so she can't necessarily. As an actor, you live a very spontaneous lifestyle, not necessarily always for the best or for the worst. But what I mean by that is simply, if a project is happening, I might get a call that I need to be on a plane next week, and I'm going to get on that plane. As a teacher, her life is a lot more regimented. So I'm hoping I get more summer jobs, and then she can come jet set with me.
Pierce Brosnan, the whole James Bond thing. That's the thing I loved about the movies. He's always going somewhere, and it's last second. I was like, that was the fun for me as a kid watching James Bond movies. And that, and all the toys you got a chance to play with. Being with a couple of icons in their own regard for different reasons and different projects. Did you glean anything, a word of wisdom, or something you picked up on from Samuel L. Jackson or from Pierce Brosnan, working on this, or even a previous project? You're like, this is some gold. I need to hold on to this. This means something to me.
So I certainly learned a lot by just watching them. I will say I grew up with a theater background, and part of that background has meant that I tend to want to play to the people in the back. And the camera is a much more, intimate thing. I've certainly learned just by watching them, and I definitely implemented that within Trinity, is that there's a lot that can just be said with a look. You don't need to say every feeling. The audience can see it in the eyes.
Anytime you see a Samuel L. Jackson meme, you just have to have the look. You know what he's thinking, or at least you think you know what he's thinking.
No, you know.
So exactly. You know the word saying
you think you know.
The first time you ever said "fuck" in front of Samuel L. Jackson, did you feel judged? So it's like,
that's your word. That's not mine. I'm not worthy.
It's like you may not be the originator, but you're the one that polished this one.
Exactly.
But no, I mean, what do you have any kind of experiences that you had making this that were just like, okay, I'm going to hold on to this in my little mental memory book or scrapbook, if you will?
It's not necessarily something that was said. But there was certainly a moment. Actually, there's more so two moments. One with Pierce and one with Sam. With Pierce, there's this scene I have in the barn with him where my character has kind of been told this big news. No spoilers. You'll have to go and see it. But my character's he's just kind of learned this life-altering thing, and Pierce comes and talks with him. I was talking with Thomas Stanton, who is our DP, and the lines just weren't particularly working, or I wasn't necessarily connecting with them. And Thomas pulled me aside, and he was just like, what did you come, he comes in, what did you want to say? What, just, how are you feeling? And so I walked in front of camera, Pierce walks in, and we just kind of improv'd. And the connection that I felt that I had with my character and that my character had with Pierce after that was just a lot stronger. It felt much more grounded, essentially within reality, within how I was actually feeling. So that was definitely a moment I remember from set.
It's always funny, those cinematographers, they know, they may not be directing, but they've seen some stuff.
Oh yeah. And I think that was another part of the entire thing too. And I can't sing their praises enough. When you act with the level of actors that are in this film, whether it's Samuel Jackson, whether it's Pierce Brosnan, whether it's Veronica Ferrez, Koryanka Kilcher, David Arquette, Katrina Bowden, all of these people, you don't even really need to try. Not to say I didn't put in the work, but it's more so that they are so grounded within the scene and within this moment and just being here with you that to get to that same place becomes almost effortless. And the scene just flows through the two of you. It's not something that you need to force. And with Sam, there's a similar thing. There's this scene in the film where I'm just covered in mud and blood, and I go into the Yellowstone River and I'm washing myself off, and Sam Jackson's character just delivers this truth bomb to me. And my character says very little in this scene compared to Jackson's character. And I loved that. I loved it because it meant I could just be there, focus on him. And it's one of my favorite scenes in the film.
The jackpots continue to soar. Go to any New York Lottery retailer today for your chance to win the Powerball jackpot or play for your chance to win the Mega Millions jackpot. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Call the Hope Line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive. Most of you aren't just listening right now. You're driving, cleaning, and even exercising. But what if you could be saving money by switching to Progressive? Drivers who save by switching save nearly $750 on average, and auto customers qualify for an average of 7 discounts. Multitask right now. Quote today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $744 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2022 and May 2023. Potential savings will vary. Discounts not available in all states and situations.
Before we get running, I always do my 7 questions. I always kind of wrap up there because this is kind of, my little bit of fun I have on the back end of our chat. But the first question of the 7 I always ask, because I got to talk about food at least once, is what is your favorite comfort food? Something that just, it lands for you. Good day, bad day. It's just perfect.
Pulled pork. Pulled pork always. Oh, yeah. Can't get enough of that.
So you're a barbecue guy. All right.
I'm a big barbecue guy.
Have you swung through Texas to do our brand of barbecue by any
No,
chance?
I have heard many a tale about Texas barbecue, but I have not had Texas barbecue within Texas, and that is something that needs to change.
I still haven't hit Franklin Barbecue in Austin because the last time I tried to go was during COVID. And this is a place where they have a line already. I was like, okay, I was prepared for this crazy line, but they were only doing like pre-done to go order. COVID. Everything was messed up there. So I got to drive north and do that one more time, or give him another shot because Aaron Franklin here is a righteous gentleman. Now, next question: if you're going to sit down with 3 people, you're going to talk story, have coffee, whatever, few hours, living or not. Who would those 3 people be at your table that you'd want to sit down with to have coffee and chat for a few hours?
Oh, God, that is a great question. And I don't, let me think. One is for sure Vince Gilligan. Mm-hmm. The problem is too, is I've now had conversations with some of those people, which is weird.
Well, I think the zen is when you get it's kind of like the ingredients on their own are great, but when you mix them together, I always thought it'd be kind of fun to sit at a table, watch certain people even have conversations.
Oh yeah.
You mentioned Tom Hanks. I don't know if that would be part of the table as well, but maybe I'll throw a 4th one in there and just say we could put Tom Hanks in there because I know you like his stuff.
Well, I'm a big history buff. That is probably my passion outside of acting. I love I'll pick up history books all the time. But I would say Vince Gilligan, maybe John Locke, and then maybe Charlemagne. maybe.
If you could do the whole Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and pull in some of these historical figures.
Gotta love that movie.
Yeah, it's like Napoleon and Socrates.
Socrates.
Now, next question I got is like going back to when you were a young guy. Who was your first celebrity crush?
Ooh, my first celebrity crush was again, I was a Star Wars kid, so probably Natalie Portman.
Oh, of course. My youngest daughter is 19 yet last night or his night before is trying to find us. Like, you got to watch The Professional. You haven't seen that, and it's like, it's kind of funny. Like, how did you become exposed to Natalie Portman, and you always can kind of gauge somebody's age when they're like, oh my God, yeah, Star Wars. Just thinking how long ago that was, and that came out, the original, the original prequels, but
yes.
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to love Natalie Portman,
Very talented.
Now, the next question is, if you were to be forced to live on an exotic island, now it's somewhere you want to be. It's a resort. It's somewhere awesome. No streaming though. So if you want to listen to music, you're going to have to bring a CD with you. One you can listen to over and over again. It can be a box set. I'll allow that. But you also have a movie. So one movie you can watch over and over and over again. It never gets old for you. So what CD and what DVD are you going to bring to the island with you for a year?
For a year. Okay. Probably for the CD, it's going to be something Glass Animals. I'm not sure which album. Maybe you know what? I'm going to go ahead and pick it. Dreamland, the album Dreamland with Glass Animals. And then for the movie, I'm going to pick Lord of the Rings, Return of the King.
I will have to admit, I have not seen.
Don't say that to me.
I have not.
Don't say it.
That's on the list. There are some things that I really want to watch. I don't know what was going on in my life when those came out. I was like, it's on the list though. I want to sit. I want to sit there and spend like a power weekend watching that.
Please, I'm begging you. I'm begging you to watch them.
Now, as we're kind of wrapping up here, last couple of questions. Definition of the perfect day for you, beginning to end, from the time you get up to the time you go to sleep. What are the component parts for you? Okay, if you've had a couple of these things happen throughout the day, or these things, for me, it's making coffee. Got to have that.
Yeah.
But it's a perfect day for you. What would those things be?
Perfect day. I would say, God, this is going to sound so corny. I'm going to say wake up, kiss my fiance. I always tend to wake up, unless it's a work. I don't know. It's a weekend. Weekends, I do tend to wake up before, though. Kiss my fiance, have breakfast. There's and waffles. We go there for breakfast a lot. It's delicious. Go on a hike, come back, relax, read a book. I don't know, just chat. I feel like I could talk for hours.
Just kind of in the moment, yeah.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. Now, if you weren't doing this for a living, if this was not an option for you, what would be a number two? If somebody says you can't act anymore, what's going to be the number two vocation for you that would be like, okay, this can bring me joy. I could enjoy doing this thing.
See, that's tough because I don't really see myself doing anything else, and it's not that I don't necessarily have other interests. Like I said, I'm a big history buff. I love that stuff. But acting is, taking away acting would be like taking away my first name. I can't see myself doing anything else.
But maybe historian. Maybe that would be, freelance historian, or something.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, the last question I got: if you're to jump into that DeLorean, travel back to when you're 16 years old, you got a few minutes with young you. Got a piece of advice you want to give yourself to make that moment somehow better, or maybe put yourself on a little bit different track. What would that piece of advice to 16-year-old you be?
Learn more about the. Actually, you know what? Take more chances with your own projects. This is a tough industry. And the toughest part about being an actor is not necessarily it's certainly not the job itself. That is beyond fun. Even on tough days, I am incredibly blessed to be doing what I love. But, a lot of this industry is being prepared. It's essentially, it's where skill and luck meet. And I've been very fortunate that people have taken chances on me. Now, one of the ways to not necessarily get around that, but to make simultaneous progress is to create your own stuff, which is why I've been dabbling in writing. People will take a chance on you when you're ready, but in the meantime, don't be idle.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, absolutely. That's great. But, maybe next time we'll have a chance to talk when you do have your own project coming out, something you've written. That'd be awesome. But man,
Absolutely.
I'm so excited to see this project. Congratulations, because I'm sure it was a great experience for you. And I'm like, it's always I'm always jazzed to talk to folks when they've kind of got something very cool under the belt like this. But my friend, I do appreciate you taking some time out with me. This was fantastic. I wish you nothing but the best, and fingers crossed we'll have a chance to catch up down the line, and maybe it'll be the kind of that Lovecraftian thing you're working on. But very much looking forward to seeing the film, my friend.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
All right, there you go. Brandon Lessard. Enjoyed it quite a bit. The new film, check him out. It is called The Unholy Trinity. It is in theaters right now. So there you go. Something to do over the weekend. Pop on in, check him out, along with Samuel L. Jackson and David Arquette, who, of course, we spoke with a few months back. I say a few months back. I could say the other day, and I'm literally talking about something that was a year ago. So it's in the archives. Check it out. David Arquette, such a cool dude. All right, so tell you what, if you would, I always ask humbly if you could pop on over to your podcast app. Make sure to follow Story and Craft. That way, a new episode comes out and you get a notification. Leave some stars, a review, if you will. It's appreciated. It helps people to find Story and Craft, which is always cool. Storyandcraftpod.com, the website, everything you could possibly want to know about the show, it is right there. Okay, so I'm going to jump on out. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, if that's when you're listening to this. Don't forget, we are going to start with 2 episodes per week. The plan, Monday, Thursday. This episode's a little bonus, a little weekend episode. We don't do that often, but I wanted to get this one out there just to kind of let you know this great film is out for you to check out right now. Okay, so there you go. And as always, thank you so much for making what I got going on part of whatever you've got going on. It does mean a lot to me. So thank you so much. Catch you next time right here on Story and Craft.
That's it for this episode of Story and Craft. Join Mark next week for more conversation right here on Story and Craft. Story and Craft is a presentation of Mark Preston Productions, LLC. Executive producer is Mark Preston. Associate producer is Zachary Holden. Please rate and review Story and Craft on Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. You can subscribe to show updates and stay in the know. Just head to storyandcraftpod.com and sign up for the newsletter. I'm Emma Dillon. See you next time, and remember, keep telling your story.
The jackpots continue to soar. Go to any New York Lottery retailer today for your chance to win the Powerball jackpot, or play for your chance to win the Mega Millions jackpot. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Call the Hope Line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY.
Hate doing cardio? Try brushing and flossing your teeth. I'm not talking about building up a sweat. I'm talking about building a healthier mouth for a healthier heart for a healthier you. Smile Generation trusted dentists look at your care through the lens of the mouth-body connection, because what happens in the mouth plays a critical role for the rest of your body. To find a dentist near you committed to treating all of you, visit smilegeneration.com/confidence today and live longer, healthier, and happier with confidence unleashed.